Good morning, guys. We are in the Rose Alley. This is August 17th, and I wanted to share with you how it really turned out even better than I had imagined at this early of a date. I know it will only improve. The vision I had for this was similar to this. There's a few things that I was not going to do that I let go ahead and happen, but all in all, I think it really did turn out very well, and I'm so glad that I started this particular garden. I'm going to find a clip of what this looked like last year, and then at the beginning of this process, and then we can kind of compare what it looked like and see all the changes. But I want to take you down through so that you can see all the plants that are just thriving right now, the roses that are blooming, and everything that's just making this a gorgeous walk. I walk this every morning with my coffee, then I go down through the secret cottage garden, I go up through the welcome entrance garden, and I just look at what is just bringing me great joy right now. In the early spring, or earlier in the spring, this was full of irises, and that was gorgeous too. So I still need to thin out irises, but we'll get to that. So let's get on our tour. Good morning, flower friends. We are in the side garden this morning, and I wanted to show you, this is the before, of what it looks like. This is where my rose alley is going. It's going to lead down to the Primrose Cottage, my studio cottage. So right here is the one rose, Tess d'Uberville, however it's pronounced, and I just call it my Tess rose. And this one's out of bloom except for a little bit up on the arbor here. But I'll take you over to see the other one. Let's back up just a smidge on the other side. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast. And that one is just blooming beautifully. So this is what I wanted here. Now, I have been debating on changing this up and maybe having my husband build an arbor over this sidewalk. Let me look down, show you down here. My wheelbarrow where I was pruning things this morning, but over this sidewalk to the side road. But I don't know, I haven't fully committed to that yet. So down here, this trumpet vine is going to move. The barrel below, the bottom's blown out, it's rotting away, and I need to move it. So that's what's going to happen there. The Abraham Darby rose is blooming, but look, here's my dream weaver. It's just doing beautiful. This Belle of Walking Clematis is just gone bonkers. It's all the way to the top. So that's doing beautifully. The Jupiter's Beard, it is still blooming, doing great. And there's my Bosco Bell rose. I'll point. I probably should bring you down this side too, but the Bosco Bell rose, it's been really, really hot. So some of them have gotten a little scorched. We had a couple of weeks of just barely 80 in the 80s, and now we've had a few days in the 90s. So everything's kind of a little scorched, some of them, but there's still plenty that are just gorgeous. This is a ground cover rose over here, and it just goes bananas, as you can see, full of blooms. The deer will not touch it. I don't know if it's because it's very, very thorny or what. Here's one of the things that I wasn't going to let the hot colors in here. I wanted the pinks and the purples and the blues. And then I changed my mind. All these volunteer rudbeckias, they really are bringing a pop of color right now. And with the red Monarda, let me see, can you see the Monarda down here? This one's bending over, but you'll see more down the way. It's quite eye-catching. So I'm glad I went ahead and left that. Right here is one of my new roses. This one, I do believe, is New Dawn. And I have a clematis down there, Princess Kate, that's climbing up with it. So that'll be the combo on this. And I have a Chilean jasmine. I don't know that Chilean jasmine will live through the winter, but I thought it was worth a shot because it just has such a pretty scent. And if it does make it, great. So over here, my crocosmias are just doing gorgeous. I had to prop them up. They want to lean towards the sun. And then with the Monarda and then also the black-eyed Susies over here, this one needs a little propping up. But all my plants, not all of them, but a lot of the taller plants do need support this time of year because they start reaching for the sun because the sun goes behind the trees in the mid-afternoon. And so they want that sun, so they try to lean for it. So I tie them up to give them support so they're not flopping on the ground. Look at these two roses. This is my Quicksilver Arbor Rose, which is just blooming beautifully. It's got putting on a bunch of new growth. It needs to be pruned back. Another bloom here. And this is Gertrude Jekyll, which this bloom just now faded away, but there's more coming back here. And yeah, I'm really pleased with those two. Doing beautifully here. Can you see the lavender flowers back there coming into bloom? That is a common tall garden phlox, and it's got the most beautiful lavender, bright lavender color. So against the black-eyed Susans, that really, really makes a statement and is beautiful. I forgot that was there. And then behind it is some asters, which I think the asters are fuchsia, but they could be lavender too. I can't remember. I'll have to look in the video from last year. So that should tell us. So I'm only going down the left side at the moment to show you everything. There's my Nearly Wild Rose. Now it's kind of bloomed out, so I need to get in there and really give it a hard prune, and it will bloom again. And right there, the tall spikes, stalks, that is Helenium. I put that in last year. And they're a bright orangey red, and it looks like they're getting ready to bloom. But that's a great late season bloomer. And behind it, you can see more crocosmias. Those want to kind of lean out in the road, but they're so bright and beautiful. They catch the eye as you're coming up. Look at my Love Song Rose. Isn't that beautiful? Just full of lavender flowers. I just love that thing. And the Monarda behind it, and then blue delphiniums. Just beautiful. This right here is my Katie Saul Echinacea. This thing has just been blooming. This is finally fading, but this has been blooming for a month now, and it's just gorgeous. It's also called Summer Sky. So if you find this one, go ahead and get it. This one will not come true from seed. It will not. It's a hybrid, sterile hybrid, but it has the most colorful, or it has a hint of peach in it. Oh, I'll show you. I'll see if I can get down close to the one that has the peach tone in it. Down there, it has a hint of peach towards the tips. It does fade out as they get older, but it's still there and just beautiful. Now, after I had said that so this is my Jubilee Celebration Rose. And after I told you that this thing blooms nonstop all summer, this summer it hasn't done it. Last summer, it was never without blooms, and this summer it's been sporadic at best. I don't know if it didn't like the hard winter we had or what that issue is, but just note that sometimes it won't do what you want it to do. So this down here, I just love this thing. This is geranium Harvey, but I bought it for the foliage, not for the flowers. It does bloom, but I just love this delicate gray, silvery gray foliage. And it is very ephemeral and very light, and I just love it against the edge of the pathway. Here's some more catmint in here, and then the Erigeron Santa Barbara daisy, which these ones along here are filling in nice. The one I have up front, I'm not really impressed with it, the way it's growing. Maybe I just need to cut it back and give it another shot, but these are all doing just beautiful. So down here is a container of petunias. I had this on the back deck, and I had planted elephant ears in it. They didn't come up. I thought they were toast. They weren't going to make it or do anything. And then when I put this pot of petunias, I am sorry. When I put the pot of petunias here for a spot of color, this was kind of barren. A lot of the spring stuff was done, and there was no color here. So I decided to plop this here. I had too many things on my back deck, and I'm so glad I did. It just really brings a pop of color here close to the pathway, and fills in right now until other things get going, or as other things fade. The petunias will keep going until frost. But behind it are some daisies, crazy daisies that I need to deadhead, and I may get a rebloom, I may not. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And behind them you can see I have Cerise Queen Yarrow, which I do need to stake up. That's flopping as well. Now this area here gets a lot of afternoon shade for a couple hours, and then that's why a lot of the plants want to try and lean. But look at how beautiful they all are doing right now. Like I said, this is mid-August in the Rose Alley, and the roses and the clematis are all going to start really putting on growth. Next summer they'll be even more beautiful, and then the third, they are just going to be outstanding. Now this is Pretty in Pink. Let me see if Pretty in Pink Eden. I've had it in a pot and it never did well. And now I put it in the ground here, and I'm gonna train it up this arbor here, and I think it's gonna do well. It's a very deeper pink, a much deeper pink than the regular Eden, though I am gonna take cuttings from my regular Eden and put one along here too. The blooms are just to die for. So my Albertine rose, you can see it's already growing very healthily. It's already taller than me on the arbor. And then this clematis is doing beautifully. I almost lost it. I don't know why it looked like it was going to die. And then I gave it an extra drip on the irrigation. So maybe it just wasn't getting enough water when it was really hot. So I don't know. Let's go back up. My Nepeta, I have put a bunch of low-growing Nepeta along the edges. So I think next spring that will really bring a lot of purple gorgeousness, just like if you remember earlier in the season, and I'll see if I can put a clip. I don't know, I shouldn't do that to myself. It's hard when I'm editing. But it was just lined all the way up the path with the Nepeta in the spring, and it was just blooming and bringing color when there wasn't hardly any color at all. So it just gave it some life, and I loved that. So along here, this side, I am really debating on what to do with certain things, and let's talk about them. So my Zephyrine Drone Rose is doing beautiful. I'm tying it up, and I'll make sure it's secured well so during the winter it won't snap off or be damaged, and eventually it will go up and across the eave. You can see one of my circles. That is a fire ring that I had planted stuff in the front garden, and I took it out, the entrance garden. And now I have these two rings that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. But anyway, so this garden bed is kind of, I don't know. I haven't really figured out what I want to put here for color. This is the Phyllis hardy geranium. You see it's starting to bloom again, but this time of year there's not a whole lot going on in here. So I may plop another container of petunias here, just like on the other side, which would bring it some color. Now the back there, the hardy geranium, that is Tiny Monster, is doing great. It is bringing a touch of color in and making it gorgeous. Now this container here, I just got a Limelight Prime hydrangea that I was thinking would do beautiful here, and or the Incredible. So I would love to put one in here and let it get big, and I think it would just be beautiful against this side porch and bring in some drama and height and what have you. And then I could plant more in the ground if they did well here. So I don't know. I do have, like I said, I have the Limelight Prime, but I haven't found. I was shopping the other day at a big nursery. They had no Incredibles. So I don't know if it's like the area they don't have them around here, because it was a nursery that's in zone 9B, so maybe they figured it wouldn't thrive there, so they don't carry them. I don't know, but I could ask them. Sometimes around here, it's very hard to get proven winners plants. A lot of the nurseries here don't carry them, and I'm not sure why, but that's just the facts. So sometimes I have to put in a special order. There's a nursery down just half an hour from me. I could ask them if they could get them in. They may be able to. So here's the other side of my Dreamweaver rose. Again, some Black-Eyed Susan's bringing in the color, and then there's down in there an echinacea. I didn't think that echinacea made it. Last year the gophers took out all the echinaceas on this side. So that is where the rose alley is at from this direction. And the roses on the right side over here are taking their time. Of course, these ones on this side were a little bit bigger when I put them in, and the others were a tad smaller. So we'll see how that's going to work out. I have Awakening. I don't know if I've ever told you about this rose down here. This is Awakening in the pot. It is a sport of New Dawn, and it's supposed to have better behavior, not fall apart as easy, etc. And I was thinking of putting it right at the base of, on this side of the arbor. On the other side, I have Rural, Rural, England, which is supposed to be a beautiful rambler. And so that is taking its time taking off. I see a little bit of new growth on it. So, and then I have Jackmanii clematis that I bought at Lowe's, or, the ones that's in the package, and took a chance on that for $7. Beautiful clematis is Fair Rosamond. So there you go. The name of that clematis, it seems to be doing just fantastic. So here is this rose. This is Crown Princess Margareta. It's usually a little bit more apricot-y, but the sun, when it's been so hot, leaches it out. But it's still pretty, and this one was not bought as a climber, but many David Austins, you can grow them as short climbers. See, it's all the way up to the porch rail. I need to come in here and shear back the seed pods. You see all the seed pods? Whoops, let me raise it up here. Seed pods of the clematis. I just shave them off, and I may get another rebloom. It's never as pretty as the first bloom and thick, but it still is a rebloom that you can enjoy. Here's the rose from my grandparents' farm that we brought here, and it does just beautiful. It can suffer a little bit from mildew, powdery mildew, but I've been using a new spray called Systemica, which is based botanical oils, and it's safe. So we'll see, and it seems to be working. And here is my monkshood, very poisonous, but we don't eat them, so we're safe from that. But I just tied up this coneflower. It was flopping, so it looks a little ratty. And then over here, let's take a view up. The sun's starting to touch on the flowers this morning along in the rose alley. And here's my little Primrose Cottage patio, which just got cleaned up, and I'm still thinking I'm going to move those flagstones and put something different in here, maybe just a bed of gravel, because the chairs and table I was using, they sank down into the sand. So I'm thinking maybe one of my benches would work in here instead of the little table and chairs. I never sat at them, so Maybe, like I said, a bench or something. I do have some Adirondack chairs that are shorter that they may work in here. You feel like you're sunk down into the garden. So that, my friends, is the Rose Alley on this fine August day. What is working, and I'll show you what I'm really loving, is the morning glories. Can you see them? On top of, let me see if I can zoom it for you, of the arbors. They bloomed up the side earlier, but now they're at the top, and though they're hard to see from down here, you still can. But when I sit on my deck, my back deck, I look out and I can see them just fine, and they're just so gorgeous. And I'm loving that. Those were easy. I just seeded them at the base and enjoy. So I really hope you enjoyed the update on the Rose Alley and how it is just turning out so much better than I had anticipated. I'm still debating about putting more roses in here, and as well as the roses are doing here, I'm thinking that's a good idea. And like along here where it was kind of bare of color, some beautiful roses in there, tough roses. I know there's a lot of varieties coming out this next year, Star Weeks roses or Star Roses and plants. They're coming out with some that are super tough, they're super gorgeous, and I'm thinking I'm going to invest in in those. There's one they already have out called Raspberry Cupcake that I've had my eye out for, and I think that would be a beautiful contribution in this garden. So since this is the Rose Alley, I'm going to have lots of roses and see how that works. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and or share with your friends. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.